The metal is cold against the fabric of my uniform. Heavy. I can feel the metal press against my chest with every breath. But it's not the weight of this metal that takes my breath away. It's the weight of his presence. I see him at the far end of the square, a statue of granite in a sea of faces. Motionless among the retired officers, his back straight as a rod, the colonel's uniform still looking freshly pressed, even though he hasn't worn it in years. My father. The general at my side is speaking. His voice is a measured baritone, talking of courage under fire, sacrifice for the nation honor. His words are a distant drone, background noise lost in the murmur of the crowd and the blinding glare of the sun off the brass of the military band. The only sound I truly hear is the pounding of my own heart in my ears, a war drum pulling me away from here, back to the desert, to the one night that decided everything. The general calls my name, Captain Evelyn Reed. Crowd, a mix of civilians and soldiers, applauds. The wave of sound hits me, but it doesn't touch me. My eyes are still locked on my father's. And in that gaze, I see no pride. I still see the same cold sentence that has written the soundtrack to my life. You are not good enough. And the worst part, the thing that shames me more than anything, is that for one terrifying moment I believe him. But how did we get here? How did a night of fire, sand, and shouted orders in Afghanistan lead me to stand before the most ruthless firing squad of all, the silent judgment of a father? But before we go back into that hell, write in the comments where you're listening from. It's incredible to see how far our stories travel. And while you're there, if you feel this story is already striking a chord, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's one click for you, but for us, it's the fuel to keep going. And now, come back with me to that night. The radio was crackling, a desperate mosaic of panic. Calls for cover fire, coordinates shouted into the chaos, and underneath it all, the constant hiss of static. Captain, we're trapped. They've cut off our retreat. It's a goddamn dead end. Sergeant Mike O'Connell's voice was almost a sob, broken by breathlessness. Outside our armored vehicle, all hell had broken loose. Tracers drew green and red lines through the night, the dull thump of mortar rounds getting closer like the footsteps of a giant. We were a supply convoy. Medicine, water, ammunition. Life. But in that moment, we were just a big, slow target in an inferno of rock and dust. Inside me, another war was raging, older and quieter. The words my father had written in his last email before I deployed burned behind my eyes. This stubbornness of yours is a disgrace to the Reed name. A uniform isn't a game for spoiled girls. Come home before you get yourself killed, or worse, get someone else killed. His prophecy seemed to be coming true live. A nearby explosion rocks the vehicle. The armored glass in front of me cracks, creating a perfect spiderweb through which the outside world becomes a mosaic of chaos. Mike yells, slamming his fist on the dashboard. Captain orders! We have to move or we're finished. Orders. My brain was a battlefield. My father's voice, cold and sharp, against the warm memory of my grandmother's voice, the only one who ever believed in me. I clutched the brass compass I always wear around my neck, her gift. The metal is warm against my skin. Engraved on it is her philosophy for life. The storm doesn't choose. You do. I look at the digital map. A grid of green lines on a black background. There is one way out. One. An old shepherd's path, almost invisible, marked on the map with a dotted line and a note, impassable for heavy vehicles. It was madness. A suicide run. But it was the only choice between certain death and a sliver of hope the size of a grain of sand. You let your friend die, Evelyn. You're weak. My father's voice, an echo from the past, brings me back to the smell of burnt metal and the sight of Sam's hand, my best friend, reaching for mine as the flames devoured our Humvee in Iraq. An IED. A miscalculation on my part. A wound that had never, ever healed. No! I whisper through my teeth, a sound only my heart can hear. Not this time. I grab the radio. My voice, when it comes out, doesn't shake. It's sharper than the shrapnel-scarred metal of the vehicle. All units, this is Reed. Listen up. Change of plans. Route 270. We're taking the Shepherd's Path on the left flank. Follow my tracers. Execute. Now. The silence on the radio was more deafening than an explosion. It lasted maybe 3 seconds, but it felt like an eternity. I could almost hear the thoughts of my men, the doubt rippling from one vehicle to the next. She's lost her mind. She's sending us to our deaths. Mike stared at me, wide-eyed with disbelief. Captain, that path, it's a cliff. We'll be smashed to pieces. Better than burning in here like rats. I shot back, wrenching the wheel with all the strength in my arms. The vehicle tilted so far I thought for a second he was right. A wheel spun in the air, then found purchase with a scream of rubber and metal. I could feel the judgment of my men, the judgment of the military manual, but most of all, his. "You fight like a girl," he'd once told me, meaning it as the worst possible insult. Fine. I would fight like a girl. Not with brute force, but with precision, instinct, and a touch of calculated madness. I drove down that impossible path, my heart in my throat. The armored vehicle was an elephant in a china shop. At one point, a passage between 2 rock walls narrowed so much I had to give the order, "Pull in your mirrors! Hold on tight." The sound of metal scraping against rock was deafening. A shower of sparks lit up the night for an instant. But we got through. Behind me, the rest of the convoy followed. A procession of trust earned 1 hellish meter at a time. Every mortar round that exploded where we had been just a minute before was a slap in the face to my father's voice in my head. Back to the present. To the ceremony. The general has finished pinning the medal to my chest. He steps back. The applause has died. A silence hangs in the air, thick with expectation, almost liquid. My soldiers are lined up before me. Their faces are masks of fatigue and respect, etched by the sun and dust. But I only see him. My father. His expression is unreadable. This is the moment. The moment the whole world is watching me, and I feel naked, waiting for his final verdict. I feel like that 8-year-old girl again, trying to show him her perfect report card, only to receive a distracted glance and a good. Then the unthinkable happens. A sound. Sharp. Powerful. Not a gunshot. It's the butt of a rifle striking the pavement of the square. My head snaps up. I see Sergeant Mike O'Connell, his granite gaze fixed on me, performing the most sacred unofficial salute, the soldiers' respect for their commander. Then another. Thump. And another. Thump. Like a wave spreading across the entire parade ground. Hundreds of men and women. In a silence broken only by that rhythmic, sacred sound that echoes in my chest. They are not applauding. They are doing something more. They are drawing a line in the sand. They are telling everyone, and especially me, she is one of us. Then, like a wave, a single word rises from the group. A raw voice. Mike's. Reed. It's not my last name. It's a battle cry. It's their way of saying, she is our captain. Cry is taken up by others. First a few, then dozens, then all of them. The general turns, surprised, then a moved smile creases his face. He raises a hand not to stop them, but to join them. Captain Reed, he says, his voice thick with emotion, is on the field. Cry transforms into a thunder that makes the air tremble. Reed, Reed, Reed. In that moment, my father's judgment crumbles to ash in the wind. It vanishes. It has no more power. I look up and meet his eyes again. And for the first time in my life, I see a crack in his mask of ice. It's not pride. It's not love. It's something far more rare and precious. It's doubt. The devastating and wonderful doubt of having been wrong his entire life. The story of Evelyn Reed doesn't end with a medal pinned to her chest. It ends with that look. With that doubt. This isn't the story of a female soldier. It's the story of anyone who has ever felt wrong, inadequate, condemned by the very person who should have loved them most. That parade ground could be your office. That convoy trapped in a canyon could be an impossible project at work. And that merciless judgment could be the voice of a boss, a partner, or worse, that small, constant, critical voice inside our own heads. Evelyn didn't defeat her father with anger. She defeated him with competence. She didn't seek his approval. She earned the respect of her soldiers. And in doing so, she broke the chains. She proved that true strength isn't being unafraid of judgment, but acting in spite of that fear and finding your own path through the storm. And now it's your turn. What was the shepherd's path you had to take in your life? That crazy, terrifying choice that everyone advised against, but that saved you in the end? Tell us about it in the comments. Your stories are the true strength of this channel. Every comment is a beacon for someone else navigating in the dark. We read and respond to every one. If this story gave you even a shiver of strength, if you believe that respect is earned, not demanded, leave a like and share it. Share it with anyone who is fighting their own silent battle. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because there are endless stories like this one waiting to be told. Stories that remind us of one fundamental truth. Remember, the storm doesn't choose, but you can always choose your path. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next video.